All right, so I've noticed there's not many, or if any at all, videos on the RSV4, the 2017 ones with the updated TFT dash. So there's not many videos about how to set them up. And while I haven't ridden this thing on the street yet, I've figured out a few things from reading and talking to people and whatnot. So let's get to it and explain what goes down on this new dash. Odometer, all right, traction control setting, throttle setting, ABS setting, Aprilia wheelie control setting, Aprilia launch control setting, menu, time, logo for the race ECU, AUC down, which is Aprilia quick shift down, and that means the Bluetooth just connects to my phone. There's some intercom stuff. Not sure how that works. Music, not sure how that works either. And video, and that's the wrench for service. Traction control light, ABS light, check engine light. It's not on, so those are gonna stay on, obviously. All right, so real quick, lights on, right? Notice the new left-hand control has a bunch of stuff. Flash to pass, low beam, high beam. All right, this is the main joystick toggle switch, whatever. Pit pass or pit limiter. This is a dual function switch. Works for Aprilia wheelie control, so you can adjust wheelie control on the fly, or turn on and adjust cruise control on the fly, which we'll get into that later on in the configuration. Here you have turn signals left and right. This is some connecting for the V4 amp. I'm not 100% figured out the V4 amp thing yet. I've got my phone connected, but the telemetry part isn't working. Horn, and then you have the plus, just like before, and the minus, just like the old APRC bikes from 2011 on. Kill switch, and then start switch, throttle, brake. You guys know the deal. All right, so menu. So you press this little guy in, because I'm on that one, and that will light up. And then I can toggle down or up, and then you'll see it'll go to the whatever. All right, so if I'm on that one, I can hit left or right. I'll go trip, then I'll have time, then I'll have max speed. Don't worry, that was done on a racetrack. Average speed, average fuel consumption, and if a bike was running and being ridden, actually, it would show average current fuel consumption, like actual. And then the odometer. Go down, it jumps to ABS, because you notice it skips ATC because you don't need the joystick to do that. You just hit this guy. So if I hit plus, you see APC goes up to 8. It's maxed out. Hit down. I roll around on 4 in the streets, 3 or 2 on the track. So anyway, so it'll skip that. When you hit the toggle switch, it goes to ABS. If you press the joystick in, ABS turns red. I'm on 1, so I can only go up 2, 3, and then back down. ABS 1, ABS works on both wheels, but rear wheel lift mitigation is disabled. So you can float the rear wheel like Marc Marquez if you are so skilled. ABS 2, it reduces it from I think 45 to like 80 miles per hour. This ABS is not as, the rear wheel lift is not as active, but it's still there. And then above I think 88 miles per hour, 89 miles per hour, it's totally, you can cartwheel it, I guess, from what I read in the manual. Like it's rear wheel lift mitigation is totally reduced. Maybe I have it backwards, but yeah. Yeah, so that's that. That's ABS 1, 2, and 3. Hit it, turns green. Shift to left. Aprilia wheelie control. So 1 is the least intrusive wheelie control setting, and then 2 is more. Oops, sorry, gotta press it in. 2 is more. 3 is the most intrusive. I'll leave it on 1. Not necessarily because I want to float the front wheel high, but because if Aprilia wheeling control works with Aprilia traction control. So if you have the wheelie control on AWC 3, but your traction control is on 2, you might get a lot of traction control interference while riding, because every time that front wheel starts to come up, the bike is going to basically cut or reduce power to keep the front wheel down, and it'll feel like traction control is being activated. And you're like, well, traction control is off. Like, how does that work? But yeah, that's that. Launch control, don't know how it works. Don't know what the different settings mean. It says 1 is for good grip and professional riders, and then 2 is the intermediate, and then 3 is the most, I guess, basic. I don't know. To use Aprilia launch control, you come here and you press both plus and minus at the same time. You hold them down. Do this number for a few seconds, and then what that would do, like you're ready to go, you put the bike in gear, and then you pin the throttle, and it will just hold it, I guess, at some predetermined RPM based on maybe the setting that it's on. And then all you got to worry about is feathering the clutch and shifting the second, and then you're gone. So it's really a launch control. To turn it off, you shift to second gear, or you shut the after you've already started it. But I don't know any other way to turn it off if you haven't used it besides just turn the bike on and off. All right, so we're back, and then so notice there's nothing here, and it says pit, but my pit, I didn't enable it last time. So if I go into menu, all right, so I'm on the menu, I selected menu right there, and I press this in, and I'll have APRC, settings, configuration, lap timer, shift light. Shift light's obvious, that's how you adjust the shift light when it kicks in. Configuration, select stuff like language, clock, units, and key codes for the immobilizer, that kind of stuff. So you could, for clock, you do 24-hour, or and set the time, or 12-hour time. Units, basically metric, speed in km or miles per hour, fuel consumption in liters per hour, liters per gallon, all this metric stuff. I don't know how to do the math on those, but we use miles per gallon here, freedom measurements. Temperature, Fahrenheit, that's the coolant temperature. And then pressure is in bar or PSI, which is not tire pressure, it's the front master cylinder pressure. All right, language, it's got about 6 languages. And then service, like I said, that's for the key code and key recovery. Don't really mess with that stuff. All right, shift light, already told you, you press it in, it goes red, you toggle up and down, adjust your shift light position. Lap timer, that just brings up the lap timer screen to show you lap timer log, essentially. APRC settings, I guess these are defaults that I've set. If you ever want to turn down AQS down, turn it off, then you'd come here and turn that off. So then the auto blip, auto quick shift down, you can disable it right here. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. All right. And then these are launch control, and these are defaults. Configuration, do this real quick and get back on topic. Pit limiter, my pit limiter is set to 37. I was trying to hit like a certain kph, that's why it's a weird number. And turn it on, boom, exit. And then you'll notice right here on the main screen, this comes up. All right, so it's saying, hey, pit limiter is enabled. To start it, say I'm rolling down pit road about to get out, I want to be fancy. I do that, I hold the pit button, and it'll do that. And the bike won't pass 37 miles per hour. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like a MotoGP bike or a World Superbike or any of these professional race bikes where it sounds like it has a nasty, sexy misfire. It doesn't do that. It's just really quiet and calm, just almost like a low limit cruise control rather than an actual race bike pit limiter. Turn it back off. You hold on the pit button, it stops flashing, you're good to go. All right. If you remember when I was in the main menu, you saw one that said left-hand control. So in configuration, appears configuration, left-hand switch. Right now mine is set to cruise. That's this switch right here. So you can change that switch. So the plus or minus is either wheelie control, if you're riding like a hooligan and you want to turn it on, up or down real quick, or you can put it to cruise, and then whenever you want to put on cruise control, you're riding down the street, you just hold down the AWC button cruise control comes on, and if I was rolling, I think it would actually hold the speed. And I want to adjust that cruise control speed. I hit the plus or minus, boom, boom, boom. And then just like a car, you shift the gear, you hit the brake, whatever, it'll disable it. Or you can just turn it off. That's what the left-hand switch button in configuration is. Go back to menu, other configuration things. ABS, you can't turn ABS off from the main screen. So if you want to turn ABS off, you do it here. All right, there you want to lock up the rear, do whatever, lock up that front, you do it here. From the main screen, you can't turn it off. You can only adjust from 1 through 3. Already mentioned pit limiter setup is right here. You set your speed, turn it on and off. Calibration, so you change your tire, change your sprockets, change your wheels, any of that kind of stuff. Anything that might affect how fast that diameter of that wheel and the rate at which that wheel turns over from before, or the different change the rotation of the front wheel to the rear wheel because you change one tire, anything like that you might want to let APRC know. Then you'd go to calibration and then you'd set that. So you'd hit menu, go to configuration, and then you'd hit calibration and it'd pop up and then it'd say calibration, or so it'd give you a message basically telling you to ride. And then you ride, you shift the second gear and you hold about, I think 24 or 20 or 25 miles per hour. You hold it there for about 5 seconds and it basically sets a new baseline and measures everything and says, okay, so at 25 miles per hour, the frequency of rotation, the rotation rate for each speed is this. And then APRC knows it has its baseline to do its math and its calculations to save your ass when you do stupid shit with a throttle. Already went over left-hand switch, cruise control, or aprilia wheel control. And this is the V4 amp or MP pair and stuff. Haven't quite figured that one out yet, so that video is coming soon. I can connect to it, but as far as telemetry and data logging, I haven't quite mastered that bit yet. But it says I'm connected to it, and if I'm playing a song on my phone, it'll show on the screen of the bike and say, hey, that song's playing. The MP application has navigation, so I'm not 100% sure. It's like in this corner right here, this whole screen will go up and it'll tell you the name of the song. I'm not 100% sure if when you use the navigation on the app, if it puts it on the screen of the bike. I think it does. I haven't read the V4 MP manual yet because this has lots of words and I don't like words. So I haven't read that manual yet, so I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I should so I can figure it out, and I'll do another video on that. So here is where you coolant temperature. So that can be in Fahrenheit or centigrade or Celsius. What else? Oh yeah, so your pressure and all of the other stuff. So this is your throttle, right? You turn your throttle. So you turn your throttle and that moves. You squeeze the brake and that one comes on. With the 2017 and up, according to Aprilia, when you set up for race, if you want to delete ABS, you got to remove the lines. You run a line directly from your master cylinder to your caliper. And then you take out the hard lines, which run on this side of the frame inside to an ABS pump, which sits about right here. But you can't remove the pump. So you have to leave the pump in place and plug it back in. Just plug the lines, but electrically it has to be connected. So that's how it reads that brake pressure. So if you're basically on a track and you do your thing, it will log how much brake pressure you applied on a lap, the lean angle you applied on a lap, the max speed you achieved on a lap, the lap time, as well as the lap count. Now you're saying, how does it do all that? Well, basically you come here, you hold it. So now you're on the street screen, right? You're doing your street thing. And then you basically press this to the left, the toggle button, and it'll come to the track screen. So you notice the lap timer is up, miles per hour got real small because obviously your speed isn't a priority, your lap time is. All right, and then when you start the lap, you roll out, boom, you press that, flash the pass, and it'll start the lap. And then you come around, you see that one spot, whatever you use as your marker, you hit it again, and it'll log a different lap. The session gets done, you come in, you want to see what you did. You hold this like that, boom. One more to the right. Sorry, I think I said left before. And then it'll bring up your log, and you'll be like lap 32, whatever. And it'll be like the time for each lap, the max lean angle you did on each lap, the max speed you achieved on each lap, and then the max brake pressure, either in PSI or bar, based on what you selected when you were doing your setup. And that's all that is. And even though when you also in the menu, when you go to lap timer, it'll bring you back to this screen. So you're gonna get out of that, you just hold it back to the left. It'll go back to the race screen. Hold it one more. It'll go back to your street screen. Also, if you noticed, it'll keep your best lap right here. So, probably hard to see on the track, it's kind of small. But if you're in a tuck, you probably get a quick glance. Yeah, I think that's the basics of it. Oh yeah, one more thing. So once the bike is running, if you hit about 5 seconds after the bike's running, you can hit the start button, the start key, and it'll toggle through the race map. You have race, sport, and track. Sport, I'm not sure what the relationship is, what the ratio is between throttle and throttle body inside the engine, but I think sport is the least, it's probably the most laggy, or the one of the best buffer, then track, and then race. And the same for the engine braking. So sport has the most engine brake, followed by track, and then race has the least amount of engine brake, less than track and sport. So yeah, if you wanted a constant 1-to-1 where each degree of twist here is a degree of opening, so most direct throttle opening or between the throttle tube and the throttle bodies, you'd have to get the Aprilia Corsa race throttle. Only issue with that throttle is that you you'll lose cruise control. So something is in that throttle that doesn't let cruise control work. But the stock throttle is pretty quick. If you look right here, I'll just put my hand, and then you turn, and I'm about right there. So it's about a little bit less than a 90-degree twist. It's pretty quick. I haven't had an issue where I have to adjust my hand to grab a little bit more throttle to get full throttle on a track. I have not had that issue at all. So it's good for me. It's fine for me. Yeah. As you can see right there. Cool stuff for bar talk or shooting the shit. But really, you're not going to see that stuff when you're riding. But yeah. So if you get the V4 MP app to work properly and you log in your stuff, you can pull up the app afterwards and it'll give you telemetry, GPS-based telemetry, because it'll use your phone's GPS along with the bike's data and give you, maybe plot you a graph and show you exactly where you're losing time at and stuff like that. But it's a thing. You can. I haven't figured it out yet, so don't ask me. So yeah, that's it for the new dash on the 2017s. I think I'd show you how cruise control is set up. So you know, the cruise control logo comes on. Yeah, I think I went over that. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, put in the comments. I'm just learning it myself, so yeah, that's my scooter. Actually haven't ridden it on the street yet. I'll start riding it next week. I've done 3 track days on it. Just put it back in street plastics and get to enjoy it riding around town here in a little bit. Cool. Hope that was helpful.